Witch's Hill.
I want you to get right into your ass and go.
That's a creepypasta.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that what it is called?
No one makes it out alive.
No one makes it out of your ass alive?
Yes.
Is it that much of a gaping chasm?
Yes.
That is a creepypasta.
Yes.
Just yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for contributing to that conversation. It was very insightful.
Yeah.
This interview is over!
Get back here with my pasta.
You actually said something?
What?
Welcome to Witch's Hill.
Yeah.
Alright, my name is Tim. I am here with Pat, who just can only say yes. Is that correct?
I said yeah.
Oh.
In that other sentence, and this one too.
And those are all the sentences you say?
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be a very one-sided episode then.
Yes.
God damn it. So what are we doing today?
We're going to read some of the, in our opinion, best creepypastas that we have found in the past few days. I tried to stick personally with releases of March or at like the last few days of February. And I got a few here.
I just kind of looked up whatever I could find.
Well, you definitely narrowed it down, and that was a lot of Pornhub that you had on there. But that's cool. That's cool. There's scary stuff on there,
X
too.
videos, get it right.
Whatever. Either way, it's too much for my liking, and I can't take it.
Oh, you can take it.
I look at that, and I get triggered, Tim. I have to write a blog about it. Like,
well,
I didn't...
subscribers to that blog.
Ew, just missionary, unsubscribe.
Alright, so who wants to go first? I'm not going to lie. I kind of just looked for whatever, and some of these I didn't fully proofread.
Oh, well.
I got like one really long one, and I got a couple like medium-sized ones, and then I got a really short one. The short one is golden.
I don't want to know what you keep in your basement in jars, dude. That's creepy.
Not everyone has the same basement as you.
I have babies in jars. You have dicks. Or, my bad, pickles. Cucumbers, that pickle. That's creepy. Whisper that to somebody the next time you're like on a bus and just go up to their ear and be just be like, cucumbers, that pickle. And then just move away. See if you get punched.
I mean, you can.
What? No, I'm telling other people to do it. It's creepy. Doesn't mean anything. Just you don't expect to hear that. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Can you imagine if like a pastor said that in church?
Well, who wants to go first?
Creepy pastor.
Do you want me to read mine first?
Which one are you going to do?
I'm going to read my long one.
Oh.
This one is called Goatman. And it is by the Reddit handle saucy_pasta.
Saucy pasta.
Saucy pasta.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Dive on in.
Alright, again, this is called Goatman. I was 16 and had family down in Alabama. They are farmers and own a huge amount of land in Huntsville. My uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put out in the woods for hunting and camping. While I was down south, my cousins suggest we go out camping for a few days. We get to the camp and it's obvious something is weird. The air has a strange electric smell, like right before a storm, like ozone. That was a weird sentence. Yeah, that's exactly what it says. The air has a strange electric smell, like right before a storm like ozone. Okay. We don't think much of it and unpack and go down to a little creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white guy and a white teenager come out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arm and says hello. He asks what we're doing in the back of this woods. I tell him about my uncle, who he knows, and says we're camping out. He tells us we need to go be real careful out here and stick together because there is a big animal in the woods. His son, who is my age, asks if he can hang out with us. His dad says okay. We end up playing football and digging around. There's me, the white kid Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and 4 of their friends.
Does it really just say the white kid Tanner?
Yeah, it literally says, there's me, comma, the white kid Tanner.
It's got to be really white to put emphasis on white.
Well, he also, on Tanner, there's quotation marks. Quotation Tanner.
Maybe?
Quotation.
We'll call him Tanner.
We'll say Tanner.
All right.
5 of my cousins and 4 of their friends, 5 girls and 6 boys. We were all around 15 to 17. We ended up just dicking the day away and going back to the camp and get set up for a campfire, even though we had trailers with kitchenettes. Tanner said he wants to run home and asks his dad if he can come camping with us. His family property sits up against my uncle's. My cousin Rooster, let me do it again, quotation marks, Rooster, end quotation marks, says he's going to go with him since it's getting pretty dark. One of the girls says she's going to tag along. At this point, it's about 7 o'clock, and it's starting to get all pretty dark. They take flashlights and head off on the trail towards Tan's property. The rest of us just chill and make s'mores, drink, and hit on the girls. About 30 or 40 minutes later, there's a smell of ozone again. You could smell it over the smell of the fire we had going. You had a real nasty copper smell, like the smell you get after you've had a nosebleed. I didn't know nosebleeds had a smell.
Is it like iron from the blood?
I guess so. Coppery.
Huh.
It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was that strong metallic back of your throat smell. We immediately think that it's some kind of electrical malfunction or someone left a hot plate on or some shit. We search the trailers and nothing is on, but we can smell it. All of a sudden, we hear people booking down the path towards us. Rooster, Tan, and the girl all come running into the clearing out of breath. They don't even break stride. They all just run into the trailer next to where the fire is. Okay, so this next sentence is great. We all nope the fuck out of there and get into the trailers.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah, I understand that sentence so
100%.
well. They end up calming down a bit, but even Rooster is crying his fucking eyes out. Meanwhile, the fire is getting lower and lower, so my other cousins say fuck it, and are about to go outside and start up the generator. Tanner says fuck no and locks the front door. Ain't nobody else going outside. He's been crying too, and his eyes are bloodshot and puffy, and his pants are dirty as shit. He goes on to tell us that they went up to his house, and his father said it was okay for him to go out camping. He just needed to make sure they were careful on their way back, and maybe they should take one of the hunting rifles just in case. Evidently, Tanner had seen something in their yard a few days before, and then one of their pigs had turned up ripped in half and eaten. They assumed it was just some big cats or coyotes, even though they don't usually fuck with live animals. He had gone upstairs and packed his stuff and told his dad they would be okay without the rifle because coyotes avoid people. So they started walking back towards where we were camping. Rooster finally stops crying and shaking. The girl had stopped too, but she was just staring out the window with a dumb look on her face. He says they had gotten halfway into the woods towards the camp when they started to hear shit in the forest. It was almost pitch black at this time, so they weren't sure what the fuck it was. The girl said she heard something in the bushes right off the trail, and they all beamed their flashlights over there. There was something standing back in the woods in a little hollow. Rooster said they had shouted at him and told him he was scaring the fuck out of them and that he was a dick. He said that's when he realized that the guy was facing away from them. So they kept walking and they started to smell the nasty coppery ozone smell, and they say they took off into the forest on the opposite side, and it's a dude standing in the forest backwards, but this time he's slightly closer to the path. So now they start power walking, and Tam keeps saying he should have taken the fucking rifle. As they're telling the story, the smell is still super strong, even inside their trailer. They say after they started walking faster, that a kind of low gibbering had started coming out from on both sides of the woods. They started booking it back to the trailer. The girl said she flashed her flashlight out in the woods to the side of the trail and had seen something jerking itself through the forest, and the gibbering got louder and louder. When they could see the light from the campfire, something had come out of the woods and about 40 yards behind them onto the trail, so they just flat out ran as hard as they could to the trailer. So we're out in the fucking woods, and at this point, we're assuming it's some rednecks or some shit trying to fuck with us. All of a sudden, my other cousin, Junior, starts going on about how he went to school with a Native American kid that was telling him about Goatman or some shit. We promptly tell him to shut the fuck up, because the last thing we need is some spooky story at this point. But he keeps going on and on about how it's the fucking Goatman and how we're in his woods and blah blah blah. Now at the time, I had never heard the Goatman or anything like that, But a couple years ago, the year before I graduated from college, I had a Menom? It says I had a Menom for a roommate. Menom.
No idea.
He had it for a roommate. I ended up asking him about it. To sum it up, it's basically a fucking man with the head of a goat, and he can shapeshift, and he gets among groups of people to terrorize them. It's also supposed to be kind of like the Wendigo, and it's bad mojo to even talk about it, and even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I didn't know this back when I was 16, so my cousin is going, the Goatman is going to get us and get in and fucking get us. The girls are all terrified, and my cousins are fucking trying to figure out if it's just some hillbillies or if it's some animal. I chose a really long one.
Yeah, you did.
It's not near done. So all of a sudden, the smell just goes away. Like, to this day, I haven't experienced anything like it. Usually smells fade or become faint, but this was literally the 1 second, there 1 second, and gone the next second. So after an hour, making it around 9 or 10, we stopped shitting bricks enough to go back outside and stoke the fire again. We figured it was just some assholes trying to fuck with us. So we don't go back home. We think that if we do, they'll just chase us through the woods or some shit. Nothing else weird happens that night, and we stay for another night. For the main part of the night, nothing happens. At about 1 a.m, we're outside getting drunk and telling ghost stories. As someone finishes a spooky story, I don't remember what it was about, but the smell comes back. And it is so fucking strong that one of the girls literally starts vomiting. I stand up, and you can actually feel how clammy the air is, and I say we should get inside. This isn't right. We should have just fucking left. We all go back inside, and we're standing around. My cousin keeps going on about how it's the Goatman. My cousin Rooster tries to shut him the fuck up. All the while, I'm just feeling that something is wrong, and I can't figure out what the fuck it is. We end up sitting in there for a while, and the smell is just as strong. We're terrified and all huddled in the camper. We end up cooking brats for everyone because no one wants to go outside. It's one of those packs with 4 brats in it, and we have a total of 3 packs. I grill them up on the stove and give everyone a hot dog. Hot dog? You said it was brats. Get your story straight.
Wiener.
I get mine, and after a while, one of my cousins gets up and goes over to the stove to get another one. He starts grumbling about how the fuck do I get 2 and everyone else only got 1. I look at him like he's fucking stupid and tell him that everyone only got 1 because there were only 12 brats. If he wants more, he should open up a new pack and cook some more. That's when the girl that had just been with Rooster and Tan just starts screaming, "Oh Jesus, oh Lord, get out!" Hold on, I should say that right, because this is all caps. "Oh Jesus, oh Lord, get out!" She's crying and shivering, and it dawns on my cousin who is standing up what the fuck was wrong. Me and him both glance around the room, and then I feel my heart fucking sink. I run the fuck out of the cabin, and the girls run out with us. The trailer door bangs against the side of the trailer as everyone books it out of there. One of my cousin's friends asks us what the fuck was wrong. I started counting us, and there is only 11 now. I shit you not, my cousin verified there had been 12 people in the trailer. Being that everybody didn't really know each other well, nobody had really noticed the whole fucking time that there was an extra person. Then I realized earlier that I had kind of noticed something was off. You know how you were just dicking around, having a good time, and you don't sweat the small shit? You don't always keep track of certain stuff, but now I'm dead sure that someone else had been in the trailer with us, and that they had been there for at least a fucking day eating with us. What makes it worse is I couldn't figure out which one because I don't think anyone actually interacted with each other, with the other person or thing. The girl keeps praying to Jesus and we're all sitting outside. Eventually, we get big-ass sticks and go back inside the trailer, but there's nobody there. We count again and there's 11 people. Everyone gets in the trailer and locks the door. We explain what the fuck happened, and the girl says she realized it too when she was about to say something. The person sitting next to her had grabbed her leg hard and leaned over and said something she couldn't understand. So we are pretty much scared as fuck as we huddle together. I fall asleep and wake up and the sun is just coming up and half the people are asleep and the other half are packing our shit up. We want to walk back home, but like 4 people want to stay until the sun is all the way up. Some of the people think that we're just fucking around and still want to stay at the trailers. I just want to get the fuck out of the woods. The girl's name is Kira, the one that the Goatman had touched. Anyway, I asked her what she really thinks it was, if it was something bad, and she says she just wants to go home and doesn't want to stay out in the woods for another night. So we decided to split up, and the 4 that want to go can go, and that I have to stay because I have the keys to the trailers, and since it's my uncle's, I have to lock up. I'm super pissed at this point, because I feel like people aren't taking this shit seriously, and I definitely don't want to be out in the woods for another night. So I spend the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people, 4 guys and 4 girls, that we need to get the fuck out of Dodge. Tanner leaves with the other group to go get a rifle and says he's going to be back. There are just 7 of us left at this point, and it's about 4 o'clock. At around 5, he hadn't made it back yet, and we're getting extremely fucking antsy, and the only reason I stopped begging them to go back was because he went to get a gun. At about 5:30 or so, when my cousin that did stay says that girl Kira is outside, we all look outside, and sure enough, she's standing by the fire pit with her back to the cabin. I'm thinking to myself, she was so fucking scared, why the hell would she come back? And then I get this nasty feeling in my gut. Keep in mind, the whole time, the coppery smell had been gone, but now I realize I can smell just a twinge of it. I say this to the rest of them, and they all laugh at me and ask if I set this up to scare them. I look at them like, I'm not fucking bullshitting you right now. I ask them, why the fuck would I play like that? So one of the girls goes outside to get Kira. She gets halfway to her and stops cold. Kira starts heaving. I don't know how the fuck to describe it. Convulsing? Sort of like if someone with their back turned was laughing without actually making any sound. But it was the fact that I thought this that made me realize there was not a fucking sound in the whole woods. It was dead silent. This was late September, so usually you could hear big-ass geese honking or kind of birds or squirrels chattering. So I stepped out the door and tell her to come back into the fucking trailer right goddamn now. She backs up a little bit towards the trailer, and we lock the fucking door and pull down all the shades except one. We put someone in a chair to keep an eye on her. She stands there for another 20 minutes or so. Then the guy turns to say that she's still there. Then there's a huge fucking bang on the door. We all jump the fuck up and scramble out around the living room of our trailer. The banging is super fucking loud. So now my cousin is holding one of the girls, and the other 2 are kind of giggling with nervous laughter. Me and the other 2 guys are shitting bricks. Then we hear Tan. He's screaming, "Let me the fuck in, stop fucking playing." So we go over the door and open it, and he stumbles in with a rifle. There's nobody else outside. Evidently he had walked up to the campsite. Nothing weird had happened in the forest, but he had seen a girl who he said wasn't Kira, just standing there. When he had gotten to the edge of the clearing, she had turned toward him with this slack-jawed look and just stared him down, slowly tracking him as he walked around the outside of the clearing towards the camp. He said it wasn't until he was almost halfway to the trailer that he realized she was getting closer to him. She had started off by the fire and without him even seeing her move, she had been turning and inching closer. He said he just ran the rest of the way to the trailer thinking it would be open. When he got to the door and it was locked, he turned and it was about half the distance to the door. He looks around the room and then gets super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers in my ear, "You know there are only 6 of you in here, right?" I get that feeling when your stomach drops into your nuts. It had been back inside the trailer while we were all sorting out who was going where. It was right fucking with us. We look out the window and there's nobody out there. So we recount everyone, and then basically I go over and ask everyone how many people there were earlier. Everyone says 8. I ask how many are here now. Everyone counts and we realize there was only 7 people in the cabin. Dan had brought back a couple of boxes of ammo and his rifle. He told his dad that there's some kind of animal in the forest because he didn't want to think his dad would believe him if he said it was Goatman. He said that his cousin is supposed to be coming down in a few hours, and then in the morning, we could all go back to his place, and his cousin will drive us home. Now I'm real fucking terrified, but at least I feel a bit better knowing that we can just shoot the fuck out of whatever it is if it comes back. Then my cousin gets into a huge argument with one of the girls because she accuses us of trying to prank them. My cousin keeps telling her that I'm not that type of person. She asks, how do we know that the girl by the fire wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Or if it really is the Goatman, how do we know that this is the real Tanner and that the Goatman didn't just kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun? Uh-oh. This is getting like the Thing now.
Yeah, as of right now, it's reminding me a little bit of The Thing and one of the Rick and Morty episodes.
Oh, yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yep.
Tanner and I make it clear that we could seriously be in danger because at the very least, someone had been sneaking themselves into our fucking trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. Goatman or not, we weren't safe. One of the girls starts crying and saying she wants to leave right now. We're trying to tell her that's a fucking no-go because none of us are walking through the woods in the middle of the night. You could have left earlier when everyone else
right? What the fuck? Let's leave at midnight.
At this point, the sun is starting to go down and it's getting a little cloudy out. We eat something and turn on the radio for a while, but we can't really get a station out there with anything decent, so we turn it off, and about the time Tan's cousin shows up. The sun is just barely over the horizon, and he has one of the heavy-duty lantern flashlights and another rifle. He walks up to the trailer, and we whisper to Tan, asking if he's sure that it's his cousin, and he says yes. The guy looks behind him and all around the camp, then he walks in and kind of glances at all of us and looks a little confused. He says, "Where's your other little buddy at? I figured she would meet me up at the trailer. Is she a little slow or something?" He also asked what we'd been cooking because it smelled like bloody and hot pans all the way up the trail. What sentence is that? He also asked what we'd been cooking because it smelled like bloody and hot pans all the way up the trail.
There's, I'm just going to interject really quick. A lot of people, like, I'm not saying that this person did or didn't, but a lot of people don't necessarily proofread their stuff. Like, I'm guilty of it too. I've done it.
We all fucking nope and ask him what the fuck he's been talking about. He had come down the same time as Tan had been using and said he came up on one of you guys' buddies, standing in the middle of the trail looking at him slack-jawed. He had asked her a bunch of questions, and all she did was just look at him and then smiled. He said he kept walking, but she couldn't seem to keep up with him and kept falling behind. He asked if she was hurt, and she just stared at him. He kept walking and had turned around to bend in the trail, and when he turned back to check to see if she was still keeping up, okay, the trail was empty. He assumed she took a shortcut back to the trailer. We tell him the whole story of what's been going on, and and he nopes the fuck out. He likes that phrase.
Yeah, it's a good phrase.
I expected him to say we were full of shit. I think he was 19 or so. He just listened and then sat down on the couch in the living room. He said when she kept lagging behind him, it kind of weirded him the fuck out, so he tried to slow down and keep her in front of him. But no matter how slow he walked, she always tagged behind. He also said she smelled this nasty smell that got stronger as he got closer to the camp. Eventually, it got really strong, and he heard her say something in a low, quiet voice. He turned to ask her what she said, and she had caught up right the fuck on him. He went to reach out for her to grab his shoulder, but he said he must have misjudged her distance because she was off to the side where he put his hand. The whole time, she was just staring right fucking at him. That is creepy.
That is really creepy.
At this point, we know this shit's really real, unless Tan is playing a joke. But you can tell he's just about pissing his pants, so we know he's not. They load up their rifles, and we eat some more. We all sit around till about 11. To this fucking day, whenever I think about this, I really pray to God that it was just some huge prank that my cousins played on me and never told me the truth. At around 11, the smell of copper turns into a really nasty blood smell, like cooking blood and singed hair. Tan and his cousin Reese get the fuck up and grab the rifles. There's like a half knocking, half clawing at the door, and I shit you not, there's this voice. And it sounds like when you see those YouTube videos of cats and dogs whose owners teach them how to talk. It says in this halting, weirdly toned voice, "Let me the fucking stop fucking playing." It made my fucking nuts creep up against my body.
Same, dude. Same.
One of the girls starts crying. Oh, that was great. Made my nuts creep up inside my body. It's a new level of terrifying. All right, I think we're in the last stretch here. It was so fucking obvious, not a person talking. It didn't even have the right cadence, and that's some shit that I never realized until that moment. All people have a certain cadence when they talk, no matter what language. This shit didn't have that. YouTube those cats. That's what the fuck it sounded like outside the door. Now, I'm in full-on terror mode. We keep yelling outside, "Who is it? Stop fucking around." And it just keeps saying, "Let me in," for almost 15 minutes. Then the smell goes away for a while, and for the next hour or so, we can hear someone creeping around in the woods and shit. Every couple of minutes, it comes back to the door and says something. Finally, the smell totally fades away when it's around 2 in the morning. Reese says, "Fuck this," and opens the door and walks outside with his rifle. He fires a shot into the air and says something like, "In the name of Jesus Christ, go away!" He fires 2 more times, and then from the woods near the river across from the trailer, it sounds like something is slowly gibbering and hooting. Then it starts screaming, and it sounds almost like a woman and a cat in a bag screaming together. Like I've seriously never heard any shit like that, and you can hear the brush over that way start to shake. Reese fires over into the tree line, then starts backing into the trailer. We lock the door and can hear the shit keep on screaming. Reese says something had come out of the bushes, really low to the ground, crawling towards the trailer, and he shot at it. That's pretty much how the rest of the night went. It was screaming for the next 2 hours, so we could hear shit moving out into the tree line. It never came back to the trailer until everyone had fallen asleep. Tan had been sitting in a chair watching the door with his rifle, and nobody else heard or saw this. He told me 2 days later, after the whole thing was over, he said he had been nodding off after the screaming had stopped. He was almost asleep when he saw someone come out of the bathroom and then lay down in the middle of the floor and go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us, and he nodded off. Then he said he kind of realized something was wrong, and while pretending to sleep, he counted us. There were 9 people in the trailer. He didn't want to try and shoot the fucking thing in the cabin and have it kill us all, or have Reese wake up and start shooting everything in sight. So he just stayed awake all night pretending to sleep. He said sometimes it would stand up and kind of do this weird jittery thing or heave like it was laughing. Then it would just lay back down. So the story closes pretty weak. Because of my perspective, nothing else happened. We woke up and I noticed Tan was a little jittery and was avoiding looking at all of us. But we ate some breakfast, packed up, and started walking to his house. He stayed last in the cabin and said he'd lock up and bring me my uncle's keys. He said to just start walking and he'd catch up. We got a little bit up the path, and then he came running up, and we just jogged back to his house, and his cousin took us home. There was a window in the bathroom. When Tan had gone back to lock up, he said that he had been too stupid to lock the window, and it didn't have a screen on it. The window was fucking up when he went in there. I'm guessing it had been doing that all along. It waited for us to fall asleep or slip up, and then get in among us. Tan told me it walked with us all the way back to his fucking house. Then it lagged to the back of the group, looked him dead in the eyes, and walked into the woods.
It sounds like Goatman just needs a friend.
Yeah, it sounds like Goatman just wants to hang out and chill.
Yeah, nobody wants to party with him. He's just like, alright, I guess alright, bye.
Right? I mean, he just wants to...
That's sad.
That is sad. It's really sad.
I feel for Goatman.
Feel for Goatman, because you know what? Goatman just needs a friend.
But I'd shoot him in the fucking face if I was camping.
Yeah, if I'm camping and he's fucking with me and screaming and shit, yeah, what the fuck is your problem, bro?
Yeah, not gonna lie, if that was read while we were, out, camping or something like that, I'd be a little like, okay. Looking over my shoulder like, yeah, I wish we had a gun right now.
Yeah.
If we didn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. All right. That was what? That was the Goatman by...
Goatman by, Saucy Pasta.
Oh, yeah. Saucy_pasta. All right. The next one that we're going to be reading is I Can Taste Death, written by Devin Hoover. Death is inevitable. We don't know when it will happen. It's simply that someday it will come for us all. Well, most of us don't know when, but I do. This is going to sound weird, but I can taste death.
So, what do you think it tastes like?
Well, he explains it here, fucker.
Oh.
It was the first sentence.
Oh. Figured it would taste like Worcestershire sauce. I think I said that right. I wonder if I said that right.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
Worst sauce. I want the worst sauce you have. That's probably what that tastes like.
The worst sauce you could possibly have?
Anyway, I'm going to restart. Death is inevitable. We don't know when it will happen, simply that someday it will come for us all. Well, most people don't know when, but I do. This is going to sound weird, but I can taste death. So what do I mean by that? Well, it's quite simple, really. Whenever I eat a meal cooked by someone and they are close to death, I can taste it. It could be something as simple as a PB&J. If the person who made it has death looming over them, then I will taste it. Depending on how close to death they are, the flavor will be weaker or stronger, but the taste is unmistakable. The first experience I remember with my ability was in 3rd grade. My homeroom teacher was in a cheerful mood, so much so that she had made the whole class chocolate chip cookies, for no particular reason. Of course, being 3rd graders, we were all ecstatic to get a treat in the middle of class. Chocolate chip cookies have always been my favorite, so I couldn't wait to bite into that cookie. When I did, however, I instantly regretted it. Have you ever smelled a rotting egg? Well, picture that, but about 10 times worse. Ugh! That was the flavor I got from these cookies. I looked around the classroom to see if anyone else was in much distress as I was, but I was the only one. It seemed as if everyone else was enjoying their treats. Was the teacher playing a prank on me? Had she given me a bad cookie intentionally? I picked up my cookie and smelled it. It smelled completely normal. I took another nibble at the cookie and I almost instantly vomited, but I was somehow able to keep it in. I passed the cookie to one of my nearby friends and I carefully watched as they devoured it. They had made no odd reaction when eating it. How was that possible? I began to think that there was something wrong with me. Perhaps I was sick. I made it through the rest of the day, avoiding all food. That night, just before I was able to go to sleep, my mom came into my room. She told me that school had been canceled for the next day. When I asked her why, she got a solemn look on her face. She told me that one of my homeroom teachers had been in a car accident and that she would be in heaven now. Even as a 10-year-old, I knew that there was some connection between my teacher's death and the taste of her cookies. I just wasn't exactly sure what at the time. No, I wouldn't truly understand my ability until a few years later. I was 14 and was about to begin my first day of high school. My mom was so excited that she had gotten up extra early to make my favorite breakfast: banana pancakes, crispy maple bacon, and golden hash browns. She had pulled out all the stops. My mouth was watering before I even made it to the kitchen. My mom had always been the best cook, so I thought it was a bit strange that this meal had a faint taste of something foul to it. It was different. It was a different taste than that of my teacher's cookies, but it certainly wasn't a good flavor. I could just barely taste it, but it was there. My father and younger brother made no complaints about the food, not that they would anyway, so I just ignored it. A couple of months later, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. She was a strong woman, though, and she wanted to keep cooking for us. The foul flavor to her food simply kept getting worse though, and so did her health. Eventually, I took over the cooking responsibilities for her. I simply couldn't stand to eat her food anymore. My mother died about 2 years after her diagnosis. It was one of the worst times of my life, but it was when I truly began to understand my ability. As I've gotten older, I've learned even more about my power to taste death. It turns out that there are different flavors for death, and I've begun to understand which are which. For example, my teacher's cookies had tasted like incredibly bad rotten egg, and she had been in a brutal car accident. My mother's food, however, had a bitter medicine taste to it, and she had died of cancer. None of the flavors are good, though. It is death, after all. I haven't really found a particular use for my ability yet. Since I can't determine exactly when someone will die, I just know the stronger the taste, the closer they are to death. I do play a bit of a morbid game with myself. Whenever I eat food that I haven't cooked and I get the taste of death from the food, I try to guess how that person will die.
Oh, man.
I mean, I would too.
Yeah, so would I.
I'm a morbid person, so I would totally do that.
Yeah.
I will read the obituaries in the newspaper to see how close I got. I've gotten pretty good at it. The reason I'm writing this, though, is because recently I've had an experience with my ability that has me a bit worried. My girlfriend and I decided to make a homemade pizza. We made it together. We even took turns tossing the dough in the air like you see on the TV all the time. I thought the pizza had turned out fantastic. It looked phenomenal. As soon as it was finished baking, I instantly pulled it out and began fanning it so that way it would cool down quicker. Once it was at a safe enough temperature not to burn my mouth, I dug in.
I'm sorry. You don't wait till pizza gets to a safe temperature. You eat it and keep your mouth open and breathe like you're a dragon, like everyone else.
You just gotta bear through the pain. That's what makes it delicious.
Bear through the melting lava in your mouth.
Alright, rereading that last one. I thought the pizza had turned out fantastic. It looked phenomenal. As soon as it was finished baking, I instantly pulled it out and began fanning it so that way it would cool down quicker. Once it was at a safe enough temperature not to burn my mouth, I dug in. The flavor hit me almost immediately, but not the flavor I had hoped for. It tasted like murder. That couldn't be right. I took another bite, and there it was again. I've tasted enough food made by murdered people to know this flavor, but I still can't accept it. My biggest question was, who was the flavor for? We had made the pizza together. Would I be murdered, my girlfriend, or both of us? Would one of us murder the other? I have so many questions, but not much time. The flavor of the murder was quite strong, so I know it must be coming soon. Now that I think about it, my girlfriend has been acting quite strange recently. She's on the phone with someone in the other room right now, and she's trying to talk in a hushed voice. Is she plotting to murder me right now? I'm sorry, but I just can't sit back and let this happen. After she gets off the phone, I'm going to end this once and for all. I just hope the taste goes away.
Oh,
that's fucked.
Is he gonna go murder her now? Oh,
yeah, that was by Devin Hoover.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's really good. All right, I got another one.
Well, before the next one, I think this is the perfect time to hear a little word from our sponsor, Nancy.
Nancy.
Are you moving into a new home or remodeling a home or office? Are you trying to sell a home but can't seem to find the right people to buy it? Does the energy in certain parts of the home or office feel uncomfortable, spooky, stuck, or blocked? Do you feel your own personal growth, healing, and evolution has stymied? Has there been sudden pain or illness you can't explain? Has there been any deaths? Is anyone having trouble sleeping, restless children in bed, or night terrors? Is there a lot of fighting and bad experiences with the home or office? Do you ever see moving shadows, flying objects, hear voices, or smell weird odors? Do your appliances or machines break down or have mechanical issues often? Do you seem to be having a string of bad luck? If you've answered yes to any of the following questions, please consider getting a clearing by us. Please contact Reverend Nancy for a quote at 630-340-0877 or her partner Amanda at 719-271-7309.
All right, well, are you ready for the next story?
I am.
This is called The Fair Has Come, and this is by XNABPF2.
Well, that is a classic name right there.
Yes. That is clearly someone trying to make a human name for humans.
Control Alt Delete.
The fair has come to town. You and your friends heard a rumor that one of the mirrors in the funhouse shows what you see before you die. You guys decide to get wasted and check it out, because why the fuck not? One by one, your friends go inside and come out white as a sheet. All of them have the same story of a masked killer holding a knife, but doing different actions like running or creeping behind someone else. Your best friend, who you had known all your life, says he saw the killer running at him with your body in his back. You laugh it off as they beg you not to go inside, and you go in anyway. You stalk through the halls, getting a feeling you are being watched as you walk through the crumbling attractions and decrepit posters telling you to move on and how far you were from the mirrors. You finally reach the Hall of Mirrors, but all but 2 are cracked. The walls are striped red and yellow canvas, and the 2 ornate mirrors are across from each other. They are gorgeous and look Victorian. You can't figure out which one will show your death, so you check both. One shows your reflection, so you check the other one. You look into the mirror and notice something strange. You are not in the reflection, and the mirror is shattered. Before you can run and get the hell out of there, you feel the cold, stabbing pain in your back and you fall forward. You knock over the mirror, shattering it before you fall onto the glass. You are caught as the light fades from your eyes. As the remnant of your soul floats away from your body, your killer, the killer your friends told you about, looks you dead in the eyes, takes off their mask, and winks. You would have screamed if you had lungs, as your reflection smiled and slipped their mask on. As you ascend to the heavens, you saw your friends scream and run as the killer chased them down. You watched every single one die. All of your friends are dead. As you reach the pearly gates, you ask the first angel you see, why? Why did this happen? The angel says, you stood between 2 magical mirrors. I don't know what you expect to happen.
Wow, cocky angel.
Right.
You fucking idiot.
That was The Fair Has Come.
The fair has come. So, okay, be weary of fairies. Jesus.
Yeah.
If they have magic mirrors, give it a wag of the finger and walk away.
Give it a quick wag of the finger.
Not today, St. Peter. Not letting you get cocky to me.
Oh, man. All right, so...
You want me to go, or...?
Yeah.
Okay.
You go for the next one.
This one makes me not want to be a teacher.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This one I discovered earlier today, and, I keep thinking about it. It's just really fucking disturbing when you really think about it from the teacher's perspective in this. This one's called Mommy Sleeps in the Basement, written by Haley Hendershot.
Mommy sleeps in the basement.
Oh my god. Speak louder, please. I put my hand up to my ear from the back of the room, signaling that she would need to raise her voice. She took a deep breath. I could see anxiety turning her cheeks beet red as strands of blonde hair began to fall out of the same nappy ponytail as she had wore every day. There was something about her so familiar, but I just couldn't put my finger on it. With her face glued to the paper, too afraid to make eye contact, she quickly sputtered out, "Hi, my name is Paisley Jackson, and this is my poem called My Family." Paisley was a shy little girl. In fact, she was one of the quietest students I have ever had in 10 years of my teaching. Which, I guess, being the youngest of 11 will do that to anyone. Surprisingly, she was very smart. Unlike the rest of her siblings, who were dumber than a box of rocks. Lord, the Jackson kids were such a headache, except for Paisley, of course. I just wish I could have given her more opportunities to improve her future. Don't get me wrong, I tried to help Paisley, I really did. I gave her clothes, food, and even had funds lined up for her. But living dirt poor in a shack out in the middle of the desert was a bad hand to be dealt in life. Besides, no matter what I did, it wouldn't have made a difference. Everyone knows that the cycle of poverty is almost impossible to break. I crossed my legs, pen in hand, preparing for yet another bland story of a family I had never will get to meet. If you've ever worked with underprivileged kids, you'd know that guardian involvement is quite rare. When it came to interest in their daughter's education, Paisley's parents were no exception. I have 2 mommies. One named Betty, who can make good spaghetti. I call her Mom. She's the one that's married to my dad, Tom. One named Claire with pretty yellow hair. I call her Mommy. Daddy calls her his project, his hobby. Being smack dab in the middle of Utah, I've seen hundreds of polygamist families, so this didn't strike me as odd. Besides, even though polygamy is illegal, I try to keep my nose in my own business.
Smart.
Yeah, right. Mom takes care of us all. She can do that because she's so tall. Mommy wears a pretty silver bracelet. She wears it because she's so famous. Wouldn't be the first time I saw kids coming up with stories about celebrity parents to add excitement to their ordinary lives. I just didn't really expect this from Paisley. Mommy has me and Tommy. He's one of my older brothers. Mom is a lot older. She has all the others. I cringed. That meant that one of Paisley's mothers had given birth to 9 children. I couldn't imagine going through that many pregnancies. Dad says me and Tommy are a gift from God. He'll never hit us with a rod. His pride and joy is Tommy, but he says the only person he truly loves is Mommy. I looked up from my grade book with the line about a rod catching my attention. However, this wasn't the first time one of my students has accidentally reported abuse. Truth is, CPS picks and chooses who they want to help. Which, quick side note, is true and is completely fucked up. Back to the story. Mom is having another baby. She's mad Dad wants to name it Daisy. Mommy can't have no more kids. Her last one died of SIDS. Shifting in my seat, I scribbled down a note reminding myself to deliver my daughter's old baby clothes to the Jackson's shack. As a mother myself, I know babies can be expensive. Dad says she didn't do it... sorry. Dad says she did it on purpose because she wanted to run off and join the circus. Mom says it wasn't her fault. I promised to keep that secret in the me and her vault. I shook my head in sadness. How could someone blame a grieving mother for something she couldn't control? Mommy was the one Dad chose. He watched all of her school shows. They were joined in the night. Daddy says inside her is a lot of fight. Mom is just a cover. Dad doesn't really love her. I threw my hand up, a gesture meaning stop. I had taught the rest of my students, but Paisley didn't look up. She continued to read, oblivious to my disappointed frown. Obviously, one of her siblings put her up to this type of joke. Mommy says she needs to get out. She wants to show me what life is all about. Dad gets mad. It's his biggest pet peeve. Mommy is sad. She just wants to leave. Mommy sings to me her favorite song. Mom says Dad's head is wired wrong. Shaking my head, I sighed. Another child with such potential and such a kind heart was stuck in the middle of a lover's quarrel that hadn't even involved her. Last birthday, I wanted to take Mommy to go see her favorite basketball team. Mom made me a cake with frosted buttercream. I got to see the Knicks, but Dad said he made a mistake he couldn't fix. Nothing is the same anymore. I don't know why for sure. Now Dad cries at night alone. He asks God, what have I done? To Mom, he no longer tends. She hopes the baby will make amends. Paisley rose her head up with a smile, looking for my approval. Although I was appalled at the inappropriateness of her poem, I didn't want to break her spirit. She clearly was very proud of it, and scolding her for something that wasn't her wrongdoing was just going to send that little girl back into her shell that I'd been trying to break for months. So instead, I clapped, making the rest of the class do so as well, even though they didn't understand the gravity of the situation. Miss June, I brought a picture of Mommy for extra credit. It's got one more part of the poem. Can I show the class? I nodded my head, thinking there couldn't possibly be any details worse than what she had already presented. Paisley reached into the front pocket of her old, worn-out hand-me-down dress, pulling out an old, aging photo. She flipped the flaking picture around, displaying it as if it were her most prized possession. My blood ran cold. I finally figured out why Paisley looked so familiar to me. In what seemed to be a school photograph, smiling ear to ear exactly like Paisley, was a young woman by the name of Claire Daisy. She was a high school student popular for her ability to gain the lead in every school play that went missing without a trace 12 years prior. She was last seen leaving theater practice late one night, but then she just vanished. No signs of a struggle, no witnesses, no evidence, no body, nothing. Her case was covered on every news station in Utah for a while, but because of because of how peculiar it was, until people lost interest. Paisley happily continued. I was so in shock I couldn't stop her as she read off the back of the picture. There's one thing I don't understand, and maybe you'll have to answer at hand. If Dad's love for Mommy will never sway, why did he treat her that way? Mom lays her head on a nice soft bed, but Mommy sleeps in the basement under a big slab of cement. Yeah, can you imagine being a teacher and having a fucking kid come up to you and just like, oh yeah, my dad murdered my fucking mom and kidnapped this other fucking, like, holy shit.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Mommy Sleeps in the Basement, written by Haley Hendershot.
Okay. I'm not trying to beat that last one. But I'm gonna shoot out two stories.
Okay.
Because I got a really quick one. This one's golden, and in my opinion, this one is probably the most terrifying story I've ever read in my life.
You're smiling at me. I don't know if I should believe you.
Well, it starts with that. This one is called A Normal Restaurant.
Normal restaurant.
It does not say who it's by. Alright. A normal restaurant. I smiled as the waiter came up to me. I heard some stories about this restaurant being disturbing, but everything was fine. Until this point. I felt my grin slip off my face as I heard her utter a string of forbidden words. I'm sorry, sir. We're all out of garlic bread. Ah! It's terrifying.
I'm gonna cut you. I'm gonna cut you so hard. God damn it.
Oh god, it's so mortifying.
That's so much better than the dead mom in the basement. It's fucking terrifying.
No more garlic bread. No. Yeah, that would be fucking... How would you run out of garlic? What am I supposed to eat with my spaghetti? I need my spaghetti. Alright, so now I'm going to follow that up with never use Redbox. This is by Lexi17. Sundays are my only days off out of the week. I normally sleep until 10 a.m., have an epic cheat day, and rent a movie or two from Redbox. After what happened last night, I will never ever rent from them again, and I hope you won't as well. Last night I went to my local Mexican restaurant to get my usual and headed straight to the Redbox. It was a little after 9 p.m. when I got to the Redbox, which is outside of this grocery store that closed at 8 p.m. I walked up to the Redbox with my card in hand, trying to decide what movie I wanted. When I found the movie I liked, I selected it, expecting the movie of my choice. However, the CD was just a plain, untitled disc with scratches all over. Like I mentioned, the store was closed and my food was getting cold, so I just said fuck it and took it home. After arriving home, I took my food and the disc straight to the living room and laid out my food. Puzzled and curious by the disc, I inserted into the DVD player and sat down. I started eating some rice when the horrifying image of a human with no head or arms wearing a suit was standing right in front of the camera. It didn't help that this film, or whatever it was in black and white, which added to the uneasy feeling. It cut to showing the human from side view walking down a road. I tried to eject the disc, but nothing happened. I even tried to turn off the TV, but it still played. Some kind of music being played in reverse could be heard as the human walked. Then it cut to a young boy banging his head against a table. I wanted to look away, but something caused my eyes to peel wide open and stare at the bone-chilling sight. The music was increasing in volume as an elderly woman was making out with a corpse. This corpse must have been dead for years, because I couldn't even tell if it was a man or a woman. It was just bones with paper-thin skin stretched tightly. For what seemed like hours was in reality about 2 minutes of these scenes flashing with that headache-inducing music. When the boy hit his head so hard that it busted, colors red, blue, yellow, and green flashed as a woman could be heard screaming for her life. My head felt like someone cracked my skull and was ripping my brain into two. The last scene was the boy staring straight into my eyes, smiling with the letters S-H-I carved in its forehead. Static soon followed, and my eyes finally broke their stare. I instantly turned off the TV and stared at the television, thinking, what the hell just happened? My headache had caused me to stumble over to the bathroom for some painkillers. The bottle said take up to 2, but I took a small handful. Every time I blinked, I saw that little boy. The letters S-H-I burned in my mind. I went straight to bed, hoping my headache would die down from the sleep, but I regret going to sleep. My first dream was me taking 2 steak knives and shoving them in my eyes, laughing. Then it changed to me hanging from a rope around my neck as the human without a head or arms, the old woman, and that boy were all bowing to me. The letters S-H-I kept flashing in my dream. The letters are engraved deep in my mind. When I woke up, my headache had only worsened, which I thought was impossible. I remembered the disc and decided to destroy it. When I pressed the eject button on my DVD player, there was nothing. It vanished. I don't know what happened to it. I just hope no one, not even my worst enemy, would watch it. All day, my headache was intensifying, and my boss let me go home just 2 hours of being there due to the many mistakes I was making. Thoughts of killing myself uncontrollably took over my mind on the way back home. I'm using all of my strength left to even write this, but I have to. I went straight to my computer to see if anyone had ever seen this before, but nothing popped up. The only thing I discovered was that the word she means death. Oh! Actually, I should have fucking known that. Now thinking about it, there's an anime I was watching. It's called Shiki. It's a horror thing. It's not all nerdy. Shit. Anyway. Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of fucking Castlevania. Castlevania was gold.
I know I said it last time too, but I've been so fucking busy. I haven't finished the past 2 episodes or 3 episodes of the second season that they released.
Oh god, they're so good. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Oh, there's a lot of good horror anime out there.
Oh yes,
but I have one last one that I can read, unless you think that we shouldn't.
Nah, I say go for it.
Go for it?
Yeah.
All right. This one's called Don't Wear Contacts Made by New Life Vision. Written by, again, Devin Hoover.
He clearly does not like that company.
Well, yeah. I like his writing style. He's got some good stuff. Alright. I don't know about everyone else, but I've always had terrible vision. Generally, it gets worse from year to year, but there are some years I'm able to skip the decay. I wear contact lenses because I've tried to avoid the nerd stigma my whole life. I'm not entirely sure the contacts will help, though, but I prefer them regardless. This year, my vision had definitely gotten worse. I could tell just by trying to read words from afar. I was almost out of contact lenses as well, so it was time to go see my optometrist. The visit went about as usual, doing a bunch of vision tests, getting bright light shined in my eyes, and trying to guess what letter the big blur was once he asked me to take my contacts out. As suspected, my vision had indeed gotten worse. When I asked my doctor about ordering new contacts, he offered me a strange proposal. This may seem weird, but I have received a new shipment of contacts today. This new company sent me an experimental set of contacts. To be blunt, I'm looking for a new guinea pig to try them out on.
It says guinea pig?
Yeah.
I would say no.
Don't call me a guinea pig, bitch.
Yeah, right? No.
Fix my eyes. I can see your bullshit at least.
Yeah. Fucker.
Anyway, so yeah, that was a bit weird. New contacts? Do they match my prescription? I said, a bit confused. That's the thing. Apparently these contacts auto-adjust to the person wearing them. I have no clue how it works, but if it does, it would be an incredible stride for optometry. Your new contacts will take a few days to get here anyway, but if these work for you, you could be back to perfect vision today, the doctor replied. I didn't like the idea of being a guinea pig, especially after all the TV and movies I've watched where experiments don't end quite well.
No.
Yeah. On the other hand, this sounded incredible. Contacts that automatically adjusted to your eyes? I was just curious to see if such a thing existed. In the end, curiosity won out. I'll try 'em, I said. My optometrist quickly left the room with a grin and returned a few minutes later with a small box in one hand and a piece of paper in the other, which I quickly learned what the paper was for. I'm going to need you to sign this waiver. Like I said, they are experimental. Well, it looks like I won't be getting any big payday if something goes wrong, I thought as I signed the waiver. After getting that out of the way, the doctor set the box in front of me. New Life Vision, it read. Helping you see a new outlook on life. What a cheesy slogan, I thought, as I restrained myself from laughing out loud. I opened the small box and pulled out the even smaller 2 containers from within. If you've ever worn contacts before, you know what these containers look like. I was easily able to put both contacts in within a span of 30 seconds. At first, it seemed like they didn't work. My vision was as blurry as it always is without contacts. After blinking a few times, however, they started to become clearer. Another few seconds passed, and I blinked a few more times, and they worked. My vision was absolutely perfect. This is amazing, I said out loud without even realizing it. So they work then, the doctor asked questioningly. Yes, they work perfectly. I might even have better vision than 20/20 vision right now. The doctor laughed at this. He ran a few more tests to make sure the lenses were working right, and I passed them all with flying colors. Well, you're free to go. The lenses seem to be working just fine. Just be sure to check back with me in a couple of days. Oh, and one last thing, he said as he pulled out a new folded piece of paper stapled together neatly. I'm supposed to give you this. I'm supposed to give you these. They're instructions for the contacts. Anyway, have a good day. Why would I ever need instructions for contacts? I've never needed instructions before. I figured it was probably just notes on the contacts since they were experimental. So I accepted the papers. Once I got back to my car, I quickly stuffed the papers into my center console and went home. My first day with the contacts was incredible. As I had told the doctor, I'm pretty sure my vision surpassed 20/20 by now. Everything was just so much clearer and focused. Colors even stood out more. I was almost hesitant when I removed them to go to sleep at night. I was actually a bit worried that the lenses wouldn't work the next day when I put them in. But just as before, after a few seconds, they worked more than perfect. Most of the day went on as normal, but something kept bugging me. You know that feeling you get when you swear you see something out of the corner of your eye, but when you turn to look, there's nothing there? Well, that feeling persisted for most of the day. But other than that, it was all fine. For the 3rd day straight, I woke up, put in my miracle contacts, and it was Saturday. So I would have the contacts for the rest of the weekend at least. I would report back to the eye doctor on Monday. The nagging feeling I had felt the previous day was even gone. I guess I had just been imagining things, or so I thought. Once again, the day went on just like any other day until I decided to venture out to go get some food. I'd gone to my favorite burger joint and gotten some carryout. I really don't like sitting in restaurants. As I was driving home, I never took my eyes off the road, not even for a quick text. A few blocks from my house, though, I did blink. A simple human action. In the time it took for that single blink to occur, there was now a man standing in the road. I slammed on the brakes, sending my food flying from my passenger seat. The hood of my car was only inches from the man upon completing my stop. I was about to jump out of my car to ask the man what the hell he was doing, but that was before I got a better look. I'm not sure I could call this thing a man. It was incredibly tall, at least 7 or 8 feet, but it was scrunched over like a golem. It was also extremely slender, as if it were malnourished. Its skin was incredibly pale, almost completely white. Its head was to the side, as if turning to look at me. I blinked once more, and it was gone. Of course, there was no one else around to tell me if there was actually something there, or if I was just insane, so I drove home. to enjoy the rest of my meal that wasn't splattered on my dashboard. I took the contacts out and went to bed early that night. Even though it was Saturday, I figured I must just be sleep deprived. It would just be better for me to go rest. I almost skipped putting in the contacts the next morning in favor of the old pair of glasses, but the allure of the contacts was too much. It was Sunday, so of course that meant lazing around, flipping between football games. After a few hours of doing essentially nothing, I let out a yawn, closing my eyes in the process. When I opened my eyes, there was another figure in front of me. This one was short, probably about 4 feet tall. It was also hunched over with the same slender and pale body. Its back was to me, so once again, I couldn't see a face. I almost immediately closed my eyes in fear. When I gathered the courage to look again, just like before, the figure was gone. I wasn't certain this was the solution at the time, but I sprinted to the bathroom anyway and removed the contacts. That's when I remembered the instructions. After removing the contacts, I stormed out to my car and retrieved the instructions I had ignored about. Those instructions read out a few guidelines that I was meant to follow. Here's what it read. 1. If you begin to see figures, simply ignore them and blink once. They should disappear. 2. If a figure appears in front of you, do not look at its face. 3. Under no circumstances should you wear the contact lenses for more than 24 hours at a time. Should you break any of the guidelines, New Life Vision bears no responsibility for any trauma you may suffer, as outlined in the waiver you signed beforehand. That was essentially the important parts of the paper. If I had read this paper before, I would have never even worn the contacts. I immediately threw them away. There's something I haven't told you, though. I left out part of my story, mostly because I don't want to relive it, but I think it serves as an important warning. You see, when I went to remove the contacts, I saw another figure. It was standing behind me when I looked in the mirror. Its head was right next to mine, and I saw its face. I won't describe what I saw, but just know it still haunts me to this day. These are more than just contact lenses. They will correct your vision and help you see better than you ever have before. However, there are some things we aren't meant to see in this world. Something our eyes have evolved to block out for our own good. I never wore the contacts for more than 8 hours. I can only imagine what would happen if someone were to ignore the 24 hours guideline. Even now, I haven't worn the contacts in weeks, but sometimes I swear I still see the figures out of the corner of my eyes. I've considered gouging my eyes out, but it wouldn't help. When I close my eyes, they're still there. Please take my advice. If your doctor ever offers you to try out some new contact lenses from New Life Vision, just say no.
Oh! I like that.
That story alone reminds me of one thing.
Huh.
I think it was in VHS. Dude gets like a robotic eye, and like he starts seeing shit all around his apartment and shit. Like things are like coming after him.
Was that in the first one or the second one?
I want to say it was the second one. I might be wrong, but like yeah, he gouges out his eye and stuff, and like the robotic eye. But it's very similar, but this has a different twist on it because he's saying that he's seeing like these weird figures, can't see the faces, whereas in the movie, like I don't know if it's similar, like supposed to be similar, but. The one with the robotic eye, dude's actually seeing people and like ghosts almost, like demons.
Okay.
So it is slightly different. But yeah, I like that story. Just
that was a good one.
You never know, man. That's the whole reason why I never go off and just like, oh yeah, I'll try this new insulin, or like yeah, you could try this because then like 4 months later, it's like if you tried the fucking the new drug Sugarlow, if you've tried this, you've probably amputated your face. Like, oh.
You may be entitled to extreme compensation.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, do you have fucking cysts? Did you grow ovaries overnight? Like, holy shit. Or like gynecomastia, man titties. Yeah, I know the technical term for that one because I've seen the thing on TV multiple times. It's not for insulin, but still.
Yeah. It reminds me of when we were looking through the ICD-9 and we were looking up, like, what megarectum is. That's an actual medical terminology, is megarectum.
Actually, Tim and I both have worked in the medical field before, so yeah, we do kind of know certain things.
That's
weird to say.
I feel like a mega rectum would look exactly as it sounds.
I just think of a giant ass, and you know what I specifically think of?
Someone severely blowing out their asshole?
Almost to a T of what you just said, but that literally happens in a movie. The Leprechaun.
Oh, God.
Literally, like some chick's trying to like get out of the kitchen or something, and it gets so big, and he's like, hee hee hee.
Well, I don't think that's mega rectum. I feel like that would be from like either an insanely massive poop or some severely rough anal pleasures.
Well, you say rectum. It reminds me of a really dumb joke I learned in like 5th grade.
Oh, God, what is it?
All right, so little Billy comes into school one day, and he starts talking about how he was late, and the teacher's like, "Oh, well, why were you late? This is like the 3rd time this week." And he's just like, "Oh, I was down at the river. You know, I was playing with frogs, and like I was putting firecrackers in their ass and blowing them up." And she's like, "You mean wreck them?" And he's like, "Yeah, I fucking wrecked them." Yeah, it was a bad joke, but holy shit. Yeah, I heard that. I didn't make that one.
Well, this has been a fun episode. Love creepypastas. Always love the good, scary ones. Love the short, stupid ones. So especially you don't want to go to a restaurant and run out of garlic bread.
Yeah, right? Like, spaghetti.
It's mortifying.
What am I supposed to eat?
I know. How can you not have garlic bread with
What am I supposed to eat? Some tilapia? Anyway, yeah. So yeah, if you liked what we had here, go ahead and send us your stories if you would like to be read aloud on here, and we will get right on it. We'd love to see all of your creepy stuff that you guys have invented.
Yes.
You could either post that to our group page on Facebook, which you could find through facebook.com/Witcheshillradio, or you can email us at witcheshillradio@gmail.com.
And you can follow us, like you said, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram.
On Instagram, the one that we have set up right now is, you can talk to me personally at Let's Talk Horror.
And I'm working it through, but on some demons that we've summoned that are our minions. Yes. You can follow. We've kind of enslaved them to like a more musical side.
They offered themselves to us, and we took full advantage of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say enslavement, but they like us for some reason.
Let's put it this way: if they say no, we can kill them.
Yeah. So you could follow that around on Shadow Psyche. You can follow that on, I think there's, the Facebook is set up, the Twitter, and the Instagram. Nothing's really done on there. I'm kind of working with them.
It's an up-and-coming thing that all of them are going to be working together. I've talked to them a few times, but they just stare at me. It's weird.
Yeah, they mostly talk to me.
I think they're threatened by me.
Yeah, I guess. I could ask them.
This happens all the time. I don't even do anything.
So lots of fun stuff. Like, subscribe, follow, hit that bell, stay notified.
Yes, and until next time, we will see all you creepy lovelies later.
Later.
Witches Hill.